Today we are jumping back into our Game of Shrooms series with our second mushroom oil painting, which is going to be the pink mushroom, of course. If you happen to miss the first mushroom that we painted, you can watch that video right up here. I'm also filming a whole video series of my Game of Shrooms experience this year. So to continue watching the series and to learn a little bit more about the Game of Shrooms event, you can visit the Game of Shrooms playlist on my channel. All right, so we have a little less than a month to finish these last two paintings so that they have enough time to dry. And I'm hoping that I can get this one done in one sitting. We will see, but if it takes another day, it takes another day. No big deal. So let's quit wasting time and get this thing on the easel. When I stepped away from this painting, I wasn't certain, but I was almost expecting to want to work on it some more after letting it dry for a couple of days. But honestly, now that I'm looking at it again, I don't think there's much else I really want to do to it. There's really something about letting your paintings live and breathe for a little bit, even when you know you're not finished with a painting, especially if you don't know if you're finished with a painting. Stepping away from your work, even for an hour or two, can really help your eyes to reset and readjust so that when you sit down to look at your painting again, you're observing it a little more differently and a little less critically. I know that when I'm working on my paintings and I'm staring at them for an extended amount of time, my perception of the image becomes kind of distorted in the sense that I get fixated on fixing things like, oh, there's a spot right there, or that doesn't work, this and that, this and that. And that often leads me to overworking and over-rendering my paintings when I'm trying to keep my paintings loose with my brushwork. I'm sure a lot of you have grappled with the same frustration of maybe working too tightly and wanting to loosen up your brushwork a bit. And that is hard. I've done it myself and I've worked really hard to loosen up my brushwork a bit. It can feel kind of restricting, and it is. It's very challenging, especially when you've trained yourself to render every bit of detail, especially when it's so satisfying to do that. But if loosening your brushwork is a goal that you want to work towards, I would suggest taking breaks while you're painting. Whether it's 30 minutes or an hour to even a few days, looking at your work with fresh eyes is quite magical because you often don't remember the things that you were fixating on during your last painting session. And in my case with this painting, I'm not really seeing anything worth fixing, so I'm just gonna call this one finished. I guess let's just cut to the final shots of this painting. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe so that you don't miss the last mushroom painting for this series. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.